Aloha, this is Representative Gene Ward with a legislative update. This time in the community, in Hawaii Kai, and about a very important issue. In February of 2009, there was a boulder, let me say a giant boulder, that fell off of Cocoa Crater right in the vicinity of Ahukini Street and has been lodged somewhere up on the hillside, and there is a town hall meeting that's going to take place, and you're going to see the questions and the answers from the community, particularly those who live near the bottom in the foothills, and the consultants in the city and county, and Charles Djou, who will be moderating this meeting. Again, this is Representative Gene Ward saying, if you have any questions about any of the things that you see tonight, any of the questions that you need answered about the Ahukini boulder or the safety of any of the foothills around Cocoa Crater, give me a ring. Representative Gene Ward, 586-6420. Thank you for viewing. Aloha.
What is going on with rock slides and boulder falls off of Cocoa Crater? I also want to introduce a couple of members of my staff. Dylan Nonaka up here in front is with my office, as well as Kenny Yamazaki over here. He's also with my office. With that, actually, I'm going to introduce from the City Administration, the Director of the Department of Design and Construction. He's a member of the Mayor's Cabinet. This is Director Craig Nishimura. And Craig, actually, I'll ask you to introduce all of your staff, as well as Masa Fujioka from the Geotechnical Engineering Consultant. So this is the City's Department Director, Director of the Department of Design and Construction. Director?
Good evening. My name is Craig Nishimura, and like council member said, I'm the Director of the Department of Design and Construction. This evening, at this point in time, Mr. Fujioka has a presentation that we would like to give to you folks, and after that we will entertain whatever questions that you folks have.
My name is Masa Fujioka. I live about a quarter mile from here, and I actually grew up in Cocoa Head Terrace, right below the boulders. We were asked by the city to review these two boulders. One they call the 2003 boulder because it fell down in 2003, and the 2009 boulder, which broke off from the ridge in early February of this year. First, the 2003 boulder. This is a profile of the slope between the boulder and the downslope areas. And you can see that there's actually a very large and deep ravine that lies between that boulder and the downslope areas. So really, there's no way for the boulder to get past that ravine. In addition, you notice that there is a highway cut with a ditch, and that's also another location that any boulder coming down the slope would be caught at. And finally, the boulder is pretty much a block-shaped type boulder, and it's sitting on a hard rock slope, and we have analyzed it and determined that it would take an extremely large event, like a very large earthquake, to even get it to start moving. Now the 2009 boulder broke off, and it sits in a ravine. And can you go back to that, please? And if you look at that ravine, you can see that it doesn't go straight up and down the slope. It kind of, a boulder that would try to come down the ravine would have to follow kind of a zigzag pattern down the slope. And any boulder that was following that pattern would tend to get trapped at these zigzags rather than continuing on down. And again, it's a large block-shaped boulder which we calculate to be stable at its present position, and again would require an extremely large earthquake. An earthquake that would be causing all kinds of problems. The boulder would be the least of your issues before it could even start to move. And if you look at this profile, you can see that we've indicated where the turns in the path are. And again, we have the same road cut and the drainage ditch. And you can see that the slope, as it comes down, becomes less steep. So basically, as it becomes less steep, it loses any impetus to keep on moving or sliding as it comes down the slope. Next slide. We went up to the site to take a closer look. Particularly, we wanted to see what the boulder was resting on and determine that it's not a real loose soil, it's hard material. So it's not going to be something that is going to start sliding because of heavy rainfall, for instance. It would require a very major earthquake event to even start it sliding. You can see that in addition to the large boulder that everybody can see, there's a lot of smaller pieces that have also broke off at the same time. Next slide. And the view looking downslope, you can see that the ravine is kind of turning to the right. Next slide. Another view downslope. That's the lower end of the new boulder field. Next slide. And one thing that we noted was that this ravine is actually full of boulders. So this kind of event has been occurring all the time, geologically speaking. It's that over the past hundreds and thousands of years, many boulders have broken off the ravine, and they all get trapped within this boulder field that lies between the ravines, lies within the ravine between the ridges. And this is a photograph of that road cut and drainage ditch that's near the base of that slope. So you can see that a boulder coming down, it's just highly unlikely to ever even reach this area. But if it did, it would have a nice flat area to serve as a boulder catchment. Another view.
Presently, the city is sending out the city surveyors that have identified specific points on the boulders. For the 2009 boulder, we sent the surveyors out every 2 weeks to see if there's any movement. Up to this point, they have not measured any measurable movement on the boulder. So we're going to be monitoring every 6 months to see if there's any movement. Also, that 2003 boulder we've been monitoring has not moved since the time we started monitoring.
The rest of the crater pretty much has the same kind of geology. That it's steep near the top and it gets shallow at the bottom. There's these ridges that pretty much form catch basins for the boulders. And that, so we think that if the city were to do a more detailed analysis, they would pretty much find the same kind of findings that we had for these two particular boulders.
Okay, well with that then I'm going to thank very much the department director as well as Mr. Fujioka for coming out and joining us here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, the report that Mr. Fujioka put together is a public document, though I do realize it is sometimes a little bit difficult to find documents from the city government. Greg, we'll get you a copy. Anybody else who would like a copy, send me an email. We'll put it in PDF, and I'd be very happy to have my office make sure we email a copy to you if you would actually like to read that report. I'm going to just wrap things up here. Again, thanking the city administration as well as the consulting engineer, Masa Fujioka Associates, for joining us here tonight. Handed out in the agenda was my contact information. If you have any other follow-up questions, if you have any additional questions that you think of later on, please feel free at any time. Pick up the phone, give me a call, send me a fax, send me an email. I would be very happy to try and follow up as best I can on any of these issues. But thank you all for joining us here on the last day of April. Best wishes. Aloha.